Good morning, everybody. Today is Monday. It is the start of my week, and I am starting off the week with a new challenge that I am doing for myself. I kind of was inspired to start off my whole YouTube channel again when I started doing the whole celery juice challenge that I am sharing, or that I was sharing on my Instagram. I did that for 31 days, and I'm still drinking as much celery juice as possible, but because it does get expensive, I don't always do it. But I actually do have some celery juice here that I'm going to try and blend, but that is besides the point. I'm here today with a new idea and a new challenge that I will be doing for health reasons. It is going to be a 3-day challenge of eating no gluten, no wheat, no bread, no cereals that have gluten in them, none of that stuff. And the reason being is because for a while now, I've been quite aware of the fact that my body is extremely sensitive to certain things, and gluten is one of them. And I don't know, gluten is just in so many different things, like wheat is in so many things that it's kind of hard to avoid in our American diet. So I never really eliminated it out of my diet, knowing very well that I probably shouldn't be eating it, especially because I was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome, which means that I have an extremely sensitive gut to whatever I am eating, the kinds of food that I'm eating, and I'm pretty sure that gluten is on the top of that list. So I figured, well, why don't we try going gluten-free for 3 days, and I'll share my journey with you guys and give you some tips and tricks from what I've learned along the way and see how it goes. But yeah, so just a little bit of insight on why I think that I have a gluten intolerance. I know that I don't have celiacs because celiacs is like a really severe intolerance to gluten, like you could die. And if I had celiacs, I probably would have stopped eating gluten a long time ago. The reason I know I have a minor gluten intolerance is because whenever I do eat gluten, my digestion slows down terribly. I already have a slow digestion to begin with, and I feel like eating things like gluten makes it a lot harder for me to just process everything and let it go. Alongside having a slowed down digestion, I have been known to have some serious like stomach issues, and also something that happens when I do eat gluten is that I have a hernia that gets triggered because of my stomach getting so bloated that it kind of triggers a kind of like a feeling, at least, that feels like I have a hernia. I have not been to a doctor in years, not since I actually went and was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome, actually. So all of this information that I'm gathering is just based off of intuition and what I believe is happening to me and what I think is happening in my body. So I am trying this gluten-free 3 days to see how I feel. I am hoping that my digestion improves, that I'm not so bloated, and also that I just feel better all around. I was watching a documentary on gluten, actually. It's called What's with Wheat. It's really interesting. You guys should check it out if you're interested in learning more about gluten and why it can be bad for some of us. But yeah, I think it has to do with the whole processing of the wheat nowadays, just because it's produced in such mass quantities that it's not the same that it used to be. So I think that wheat may have been good for us at some point, but I think because of all of the additives that is in it now, it's just not the same. So yeah, I am excited to share this journey, this 3-day journey with you guys. I'll be posting a video every day, but I thought I'd start off today with a recipe for day 1. It is going to be my favorite bars. I've tried them previously, but I've never made them, so we are going to try them for the first time today on video, and we'll see how it goes. I'll see you guys soon. Okay, so first things first, we are obviously going to need our ingredients. So the recipe calls for 1.5 cups of rolled organic certified gluten-free oats. And it calls for 1/3 cup of cranberries. This is a cup of pitted medjool dates that I just kind of smushed together. And then 1/3 cup of pepitas, which are just sunflower seeds. And then the recipe did call for 1/3 cup of almond slices, or chopped almonds, but I don't have chopped almonds, so I'm going to be using 1/3 cup of cashews instead. And the recipe also does call for honey as the sweetener with the dates that we'll be using, but instead of honey, I am using blue agave. This is such good sweetener. It really is organic agave syrup. So that is the ingredients, and now let's get started. First things first is we are going to process these dates is a cup of dates in this food processor, and we're also gonna throw in some honey. I've got to pull up my little recipe. So we are going to take our 1 cup of pitted medjool dates and just spread them out a little bit. And then we are going to take 1/4 of a cup of our sweetener. So you could be using honey or maple syrup, but I am using agave like I mentioned. And we are going to throw that in the blender. 1/4 cup of honey. So I've never made this recipe before, but I have tried something very similar, and they were really, really good, really healthy. So I thought, as my day 1 of my gluten-free challenge, I would offer you guys this recipe and see how it turns out. So yeah, let's try this out. We're gonna just throw the agave into the processor and get this sucker going. So we're pretty much just throwing it in a processor. The medjool dates and the agave are going in the processor just to be pretty much blended or processed until they are a paste. So we're just gonna get that going in there. And then if you don't have a food processor, which I don't, this is actually just borrowed, you could try using a high-speed blender. I have a blender, but it's not high speed. It's not a Vitamix, unfortunately. So I borrowed this food processor. Okay. Alrighty, and now we process. Okay, so let's see how this works. Working out. So let's try this again. So yeah, I just went and tried editing my video of the gluten-free nut and seed bars that I was making for my day 1 video, and I realized that although I thought I was recording the second half of the video, I was not. So now the majority of the video is missing, so I'm just gonna tell you guys what I did and then show you the finished result, because I do want to show you guys how it turned out. They turned out really good. So pretty much I left off where I was putting the dates and the agave syrup in the food processor, and you process that until it turns into a paste. And once it's a paste, you take your oats, your pepitas, which are just the sunflower seeds, the cranberries and the cashews, or if you're following the recipe to the T, it would be almonds. You mix the dry stuff together, and then once that's all mixed up pretty evenly, you'll want to put the paste with the dry items, like everything else, and just mix it together until it forms a nice big ball. Just want to make sure that you are thoroughly kind of kneading it together and rolling it into a ball. And once you've done that, you'll want to put it on a cookie sheet or a tray with parchment paper on it. Just make sure that you flatten it out to fit the cookie tray. And then all you have to do is leave it in the freezer for about 30 minutes and then just take it out and they'll be ready to go. You can cut them with a knife and serve them like little bars, or you can cut them into whatever shape you'd like. So yeah, I apologize for forgetting to press the record button after I had a little technical difficulty. So yeah, that is just the middle part of the video that I forgot to record, and now we'll just get into the footage of how it actually turned out, which was really well. Okay, so I've just pulled the bars out of the freezer, and I have a handy dandy knife here, and then I also have a spatula just because I don't have the parchment paper underneath, so it'll be a lot harder to get off. So yeah, I am going to cut them into little squares and see how that works out, and then they'll literally be ready to serve. So you could just leave them in there for about 20 minutes until they are firm, which I think I could probably leave these in here for a little longer in the freezer because they're still a little squishy and a little soft. But who cares? I'm just gonna cut them. Or cut one of them at least and see if I can pull it out. Let's see. taking my little spatula and just attempting to scrape this out or lift it out of the sheet. Oh, I got it. Okay, how cool. So this is a little bar. How awesome. And they're like this thick. They do need to be in the fridge or the freezer a little longer, so I'm gonna go ahead and put those back in the freezer, but I'm going to munch on this one because I'm very hungry. I'm very impatient right now. So yeah, put this back in the freezer for about maybe like another 10 minutes. I feel like 30 minutes tops is going to be like the time that it takes to get them as firm as possible. You don't want to freeze them though. So yeah, 10 more minutes and then we'll see how they look then. I just tried the granola bars. They are really tasty. They definitely need to be in the freezer for a little longer than 20 minutes. I'd say about 30 minutes, but they are super good, naturally sweet, and super, super healthy. So if you are gluten-free or just trying to be a little healthier and are having a hard time finding ideas for what to eat as far as snacks and something sweet goes, this recipe is a really great way of getting all of those nutrients in because of the nuts and the seeds. Also still getting to enjoy your snack. I'll go ahead and link the website for the recipe that I found online, and I definitely recommend this. You guys should definitely try it, and if you do, just leave me a comment below and tell me what you think. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.